Hello on a very blustery day. We just had a big storm yesterday, Thursday, so I've come down towards the end of April here to see how things are getting along. Just removed the fleece from this little beauty here, and it's the first of my yams that's coming up, this ochre. This is a new thing for me to grow down the allotment, so it had to be fleeced, and I didn't plant it until about 3 weeks ago. So anyway, pleased to see one's coming up. I've got another 5 of them. Following the winter spraying program on my heavily infected cherry trees, the blossom this year has been much better, and there's already a little pollinator there, as you can see. So looking forward to some more cherries than I had last year. Last year I only got a handful. The wood pigeons ate them all when they were green, but basically, as you can see, the tree's still got its scars from it being infected. The old vinegar spray and the bicarb with a few drops of detergent has done wonders, and I've just last time I came round, I've put some pelleted compost pellets around there, and also sprayed all the trunks with dilute peppermint oil to stop the ants from farming aphids. But yeah, looking good. Blossom's best it's been for a long time. Fruit trees have been hit and miss, and they seem to have a rest year on my dwarf rootstocked varieties. This one here is a Bramley seedlings, and it's a tip and spur bearer, so it's got a decent amount of blossom on it. The partner tree to it, which is its pollinator, is a red discovery. As you can see, there's only a few blooms on that, but I thought I'd lost it last year in that drought, so luckily to me that its fact is still alive is a bonus. Next to my fruit trees, the cherry trees, is my chamomile, and it's quite a strong chamomile which I've grown from a seed packet which I bought at a garden centre. At first it was very slow to grow and the dandelion seemed to win, but now this year, after the 3rd year of seeding itself, as you can see, it's grown exceedingly good, if you pardon the pun. I was a bit concerned with the drought last year, and obviously the stress it caused to the plant on the allotment, but it looks like this year will be okay for red currants. Just as and when I'm going along the allotment, I'm picking off any of these infected leaves, and it's good to see that I'm not alone having these infected leaves. When I visited the National Trust, their soft fruit was riddled with them. It's basically a rust. So I've sprayed mine this year. Again, I've been using the milk and bicarb, but I always remove the leaves. Last year was a disaster on my plot for gooseberries, but these red hinnomaki seem to have come good this year. Again, they were heavily infected with the rust fungus, which eats away, will eventually even eat away at your flowers if you don't sort the leaves out. But early on I tackled them this year, and basically so now they're setting fruit. I noticed the bumblebees were on the last time I came down, and 2 weeks ago there were a lot of bumblebees on the plot. Oh, I have a little wild spot at the back for the bumblebees to have their little ground you know, homes in. It's a good idea to always check underneath your leaves of your gooseberries, looking for caterpillars of the sawfly. Again, at the National Trust, they didn't. One gardener told me he was on holiday, came back after 2 weeks. Every single gooseberry had been devastated. This year, they still look heavily infected, but ours have been okay. So basically, again, I've been spraying around them on the ground with peppermint oil, and basically, any infection I've been onto it straight away. They are prone, soft fruit are prone to a lot of pests and attacks, so if you've not done well with your soft fruit, it'll be one or the other. There'll be either a fungus or something like a caterpillar that's done it. Since we got rid of the comfrey tea and any other homemade fertilisers, won't be worried about eating the crops now, because we didn't like the taste with homemade fertilisers. So basically now I've been using the liquid seaweed, DOF. I used chicken manure pellets early on, but that was about 3 months ago. So basically now it's just liquid feed. I use liquid tomato feed on my strawberry patch. I don't get a huge crop of strawberries because, as you can see, I'm not using raised beds. On the cracked ground you have to watch out for ants. That's why I use dilute peppermint oil to get rid of them. I dig out nests if they're underneath any of these slabs. Basically that's my job, to get rid of the pests. Despite not making comfrey tea anymore, I still have the stuff at the front of my allotment, and I do cut the leaves and lay the leaves around fruit trees to let it break down. So I do let it go into the soil, but I just don't make tea. But of course this will also bring lots of pollinators to the area, lots of bumblebees. It looks like this pear tree has set some fruit. Again, I'm very vigilant. As you can see, very close to where it set fruit is the pear rust. I looked up some commercial growers and what they do with their fruit trees. You'd be frightened by how much pesticides they put on their fruit trees. About every 10 days they only stop spraying them a week or so before harvest, many of them. Not all of them, I'm not saying they all do it, but those that aren't organic. As you can see, the black currant are starting to set fruit now, and these were pruned quite heavily this year. I would have liked to, ideally, to have pruned them properly from first planting, but it's not too late to redeem the crop and the type of plant you want. It just takes a few years to get there, that's all. On the other side of the black currant are my red currant bushes, and it looks like these ones here, which get the most sunshine, have also set some fruit, so hopefully this will mature onwards and ripen. Lemon balm seems to come back from the dead, doesn't it? Fantastic with that chamomile for making a nice, soothing, relaxing drink at the end of the day. If you're feeling a bit tense and a bit nervous, this is the stuff to make a nice, soothing cup of tea, together with chamomile flowers. Here we have Jane's favourite black currant. It started off as a little runty plant, a cutting I put in, and it grew a sort of an elbow at the bottom, which you can sort of see going along the soil. And we were going to take it out, most of it, because it seemed to be growing, suckers all over the place. But we let it go, and it seemed to throw up these beautiful branches. And this year it's come into its own, so it's our favourite black currant. Even though it's not quite May and we haven't forced these, this rhubarb that I've only put in 3 years ago has gone absolutely crackers. It's got to be, I would say 4 feet high. Yeah, nearly 4 feet high at the highest point. So some of these, as you can see, some of these are ready for the picking. So I should be taking a bit of that home. So this year I'm hoping to get some joster berries. Looks like it has set some fruit here. It's very young, this plant. Reeves josterberry. So just like to try a few new things if I can down here. So let's see if they carry on ripening. Okay, handy for some salads, the leaves, is this lovage or lavage, however you want to pronounce it. Sort of looks a bit sort of rhubarby on the stalks, but for some reason it really does like these clay soils. You can hear the little birds, greenfinches I think. You've got an apple tree here which I'd given up for dead 3 years ago. Ants had taken over. Armies of ants had just eaten it away. Fungus underneath all the branches. These sort of laterals were just full of this white, dripping with fungus underneath where my hand is. But I just kept at it with vinegar and bicarb, milk, peppermint oil. Eventually it's paid off by discovering where the ants came from, destroying their nests, and a bit of judicious pruning. It's going to need a bit of supporting on those laterals, and so hopefully this Golden Delicious will fight back. I don't win every battle with my grafted fruit trees, as I will show you. Not all the grafted fruit trees that I get have worked. From B&Q I got 2 of these. They're called a white transparent. It's a cooking apple. Supposed to be a good rival for our Bramley, and this one's from the continent. This one's only just made it. It seems like it may be one of those whips of a very, very young graft, and maybe a bit too young to have been sold. but this one's made it, but I don't think its little brother has on the other plot, because there's no buds bursting, and we've pruned it slightly to take the dead wood off, but it seems like the whole thing's dead now. This is one of my kiwis. It's not got any leaves on it, however the bottom of the stalk still looks a bit green, so I'm not going to dig it up just yet. Planted on the 5th of April, maybe a bit early, I don't know. But it's not looking fantastic, but I'll get back to you if it revives. And never say never with globe artichokes. This thing's had more leaves than cats have lives coming up from it, and basically there's another two coming up. We thought this one was dead, but it keeps fooling us, coming back again, globe artichoke. Among the herb garden, I do like this. It's Mexican orange blossom. It's a beautiful, beautiful scented plant, and along with lemon verbena, it's one of my favourites. It really is. Again, this came from my garden. Did nothing for about 18 years, barely alive. Brought it down here, and it's now, I'd say, 4 foot tall, something like that. And that's it. These are lemon scented, these conifers here. So when I rub the branch there, you can see, yeah, lemon scented. This Stanley plum tree has set some fruit, as you can see. I was wondering, I haven't pollinated, gone around myself with the artist paintbrush on this one, because it had so much blossom on it. Luckily the pollinators have been around. It's always nice to have some wild flowers growing as well in amongst the fruit trees, just to bring the pollinators to your plot. These grow very well around the Midlands and England, bluebells, and people go to see them on display in woodlands. Nice to have a few growing here as well. This Granny Smith looks like it should do okay this year on the dwarf rootstock, hopefully, with the blossom we've got here. Among the delightful tasks of the raspberries is to look out for this wonderful plant, which is bindweed. It will go right up your raspberries, strangle everything. The whole of my plot is infested underground with this stuff. I just have to keep attacking it all the time. Hopefully these will turn into fruit soon. These are, believe it or not, red currant flowers, and they're green, which sort of fooled me in the beginning, but the bumblebees seem attracted to them, so this is where your fruit will come from, hopefully. As you can see from this cluster, some of this is going to fruit. Some of these flowers are setting fruit, so it seems to be heading in the right direction. The cherry trees, I've got partners for them, so basically they've got pollinating partners, so hopefully these two neighbours will, because they're different varieties of cherry, will basically be helping to cross-pollinate. There's the other sister plant, a different variety of cherry tree there. So, looking healthy, the blossoms this year, for the first time ever. Very attractive plant, this Viking blood, Aronia or chokeberry. It's a nice little crop on that. It's only been in a few years, this one. Again, a nice little plant I got from Wilco's. Hawthorn blossoms out now, very beautiful, as you can see. Final little treat of the day, just passing by Wilco, as you do, and they've got Wilco rhubarb poncho. It's a late summer rhubarb. I mean, how lovely is that? Now the picture looks really grand, but does the actual plant match up to the picture? And yes, it does. This plant here, if I leave it until very late summer, coming right through on the internet, it says these can be picked right up to October, late October. So at the end of this little session down the allotment, what I'm bringing home today are some nice long stalks of rhubarb, the first of the season, in the last week of April. Well, against the backdrop of this grey sky, it's goodbye for now. I'll catch up with you next time, and obviously some things are flourishing down here. Just in time, gardening done. What a surprise! Here it comes down. Lightning as well.